So, hello guys, good evening. I am Dr. Abhish Chasthana and I will be teaching you cephalometrics today. And what we are going to learn in this lecture is basically is that the various type of the anatomical landmarks and along with that the analysis. So, what we are going to study majorly about in the analysis, these we are in detail we will be covering Steiners, tweets, and downs. These are mainly important for the university level examinations, and along with that for the MDS examination we need to study these very thoroughly. Along with that we need to have information about the McNamara's, and along with McNamara's we need to study about Cizzoni's analysis and Ricketts analysis, and certain times Witt's appraisal also. So we have to focus on basically the important terms and the important points in this only, but we need to have a very thorough knowledge about these three analysis. So we will be majorly discussing about these three in detail, and along with that these points, so your whole cephalometrics will be covered in this only. So there are basically some key ground rules about this lecture is that I have already comprised all the analysis, the all the basic three analysis into all these three pages. So these will be provided in the link in the description. So you just have to go through while revising all this. So you don't have to juggle around. So it's like cephalometry. Basically, it's you have to build an understanding. A thorough understanding is very much more required in these topics rather than just making notes and just analyzing things again and again, studying through various literature. So just try to understand more through this lecture. The notes will be pre-provided, plus all that you have the books and everything. You can do that on your own also. So without any further delay, we will be starting with the cephalometrics. So what basically is cephalometry? Cephalometry, on a very broader term, if we will say, it's basically a diagnostic tool. So what does this diagnostic tool is doing is that it is helping the dentist or the orthodontist. So basically to plan the treatment, evaluate the treatment, and to locate any further discrepancies and everything, like whatever they want to do, what how much they have to change the plan along with that. Like basically it basically helps to evaluate the skeletal and the dental relationships, so with the help of the x-rays. So basically what we have to do is that we have to take a lateral ceph of a patient, and along the lateral ceph we have to do the tracing through a butter paper. So there are basically these are some key points and the key anatomical landmarks which are basically common in the every skull, such as this is nasion, this is point A, anus. Don't worry, we are going to discuss all this in detail. So this is just a introductory thing which we are doing right now. So this is how the treatment, basically the pre-treatment or pre-orthodontic treatment of a patient is decided. So how much incisor we have to protrude, and how much how much we have to retrude, how much skeletal discrepancy is there, how much dental discrepancy is there. So basically this is a tool which helps this dentist or orthodontist. So after all this, basically there are two type of x-ray in this. So one is lateral ceph, the x-ray which is taken from the left side and from the side of the patient, and in this the image is placed on the left side of the patient, and x-rays are directed from the right side. Okay, so this was given by image is placed on the left, and obviously the x-rays will be on the right side. So this was introduced by Broadbent. Sometimes they ask in INI. Broadbent and Hopworth in 1931. Okay. So along with that, there is another like X-ray which is called as the PSF. Since it is known as the PSF, the X-rays are directed from the posterior to the anterior. So X-rays are coming from the posterior side to the anterior side. So we are going to, it's basically we are going to, when I'm going to tell you about the Jaraback ratio and everything, so then we will have to encounter the PSF. So basically the machine which takes a cephalogram is called as cephalostat. This is basically very basic terminologies which we are just like just making about the atmosphere about we are going to study. So basically, the machine which is used to take the cephalometrics analysis and the lateral set is called as cephalostat. The patient is made as to stand on the film on the left side. The film is placed on the left side. The X-rays are directed from the right side. And this, like, what they ask is that what is the distance between the X-ray source and the patient. So basically, if this is our patient and these are, if this is my, this is his right side and this is his left side, and since this patient is standing on this side, so this will be the image receptor. So the distance between the image receptor and the X-ray source is almost from, it is computed from the mid-sagittal plane of the patient. So this will be his mid-sagittal plane. So this will be the distance from the X-ray source. Okay, so this distance from the mid-sagittal plane to the X-ray source is almost around 60 inches or 5 feet. Okay, so they asked MCQ on this also. So this is the basically what you have to remember out of all this is just this. So and along with that, one thing is more asked that as the X-rays are directed from such a large distance, so what it is caused as is like every X-rays has a degree of magnification. Since the distance is increasing, so the like just like for an example, if you can imagine is that when you direct a torch towards a light, so as you increase the distance, so the area of the torch and the like on the light actually it widens the area. So basically, this is called as the degree of magnification. So as the distance between the X-ray source and the mid-sagittal plane or the like the patient it increases, so it causes some degree of magnification. So what we need to remember is that how much degree of magnification this is caused by lateral ceph. It's almost about 5 to 7%. This is the degree of magnification in lateral ceph. Okay, this is the degree of magnification. And in a child, the head radius is almost around 6 inches, and in an adult, it is almost around 9 inches. This is the basic term, actually. This is the generalized thing which we have to take. This is basically purely a fact. You can't do anything about this. So, hmm. So now comes the natural head position. Still, we have not started the cephalometry. It's just with basic things, basic terminologies, which will help you to understand the further terms. We can't just directly do like just jump on the downs analysis, tweaks analysis. These things you need to you need to study. So natural head position. So what is a natural head position of a patient, guys? Like position in which the head we take, like while making the while taking the ceph, the position of the patient it is called as the natural head position. So there is basically we have to align the patient in a certain manner such that his her head is straight. Along with that, her FH plane. I assume that you guys know FH plane, otherwise I will just tell while telling about the landmarks also. FH plane should be parallel to the ground. Okay. And along with that, so these are the things which these two things which we have to we need to ensure that while taking the lateral surf. So how we can do that? We can't just mark this the FH plane this like this, then we can compare this with the ground actually. So like the basic manner which we do in the while taking the lateral surf, so what we do is that we ask the patient to look at infinity, but this is not practically possible. So it's like, since it is a closed room, you can't ask the patient to look into infinity. So how can we achieve this? We actually, if you remember that during your childhood, you used to go to a barber. So there were actually, when you have the mirrors in front of back and front, so there actually looks like an infinity matrix. So what we do the same thing in this to achieve the infinity. We place the mirror 3 feet apart in the front and back, so that, and we ask the patient to look into the right matrix. So basically, that aligns the FH plane to the parallel to the ground, and the head is also straight all the time in that. So we just need to ensure that, or otherwise, what we can do is that we can just ask the patient to oscillate his head up and down like this again and again. But this is not practically, like, it's not ethical also. So this is the basic method which we do. And so then now the modern machines have the like rods and everything, so basically it aligns the plane with the FH plane of the patient with the basic this skull, so no need to require this. These are basically the whole concepts. So now we are going to start the course Ceph now with the anatomical landmarks. This is from this part, actually, it's important. So, making it in red. So, in the start, actually, what you have an image which I've showed earlier also. I will hear this again. That image again, I have to add. So, guys, this is the image that we are going to study very thoroughly. Yeah. So, starting off from a very basic landmark, like notes will be pre-provided. Just listen and try to understand. Nasion. So, there is basically this end point, nasion. This is the junction between the frontal and the nasal bone. This is called as nasion. So this is your frontal bone and this is your nasal bone. So there, the junction between these two bones is called as nasion. So this is your first point, nasion. You guys got it. So now the second most point, we will be moving on quickly in this so that we can start on the analysis. The second most point is the orbital. Orbital is like located on the inferior most point on the orbital margin. So this the inferior most point on the orbit, like this is called as the orbital. Okay, so this is orbital, inferior most point on the in the inferior or orbital range. This is called as orbital. Okay, you guys are writing notes, so that's why I'm just reciting all the time also. So the third point is sella. The like this is the sella S, which is present basically in the in the center of the sella turcica. Okay, so this is our third cephalometric point, sella. And fourth, what we have is porion. This is porion. So where is porion is located? It is located on the external auditory meatus due to the but actually it's the external auditory meatus. It is the superior most point. But what the problem is that during lateral ceph, there is a superimposition of the images. So this point is basically not visible on the lateral ceph anatomically. So what we do is that when we place a ceph, have you guys if you have taken a ceph before, many of you have gone through the orthodontic treatments, there are some actually the stabilizing rods which are placed here. So basically there, the where the rods that are placed, so it gives a characteristic round appearance there at that point. So that is basically taken as porion. So those two radiopaque rings, due to the shadows of that ear rods of the cephalostat, you take that ear rod as a like porion, and that porion is called as machine porion. Since you are the taking the landmark with the help of a machine, so that porion is called as a machine porion. Okay, but the thing is that there is another landmark. So sometimes the researchers have denied that like we can't take this. So what you can do that is sometimes but you can see the external auditory canal. If you are able to visualize the external auditory canal, then you have to take that point as porion. Okay, external auditory canal. So if you are visualizing this, so this will be, since this will be there is no help of a machine is taken. So this will be called as anatomical porion. Okay, guys, simple. Machine one is machine and the second is anatomical. So these are basically this are like we are going to this is how we are going to study Ceph. So now the next point, basion. Our graph is, I will just erase this so you will be clearly able to see. This is the point basion, which is present in the anterior part of the foramen magnum. If you will be able to see this, actually the base. So this is the skull base, and this is the hole is foramen magnum. This hole is the foramen magnum. So the anterior part of the foramen magnum is basically the basion. So this is basion. And on the posterior part, there is a point which is called as opistheon. It is not present in this diagram, so I will just mark opistheon. Sixth will be opistheon. Now, the seventh point will what will be is the articulare. Okay, so how the articulare point is visualized is that we have to articulare is basically the intersection of the posterior border of the ramus condyle on the base of the crane with the base of the cranium. So intersection of the base of the intersection of the posterior border of the ramus with the base of the cranium. So this point is where if we take as the base of the cranium, so this point will be going like this. Okay, so the intersection between draw between the condyle posterior border and the base of the cranium, it will be lying here around somewhere here. So it's mid intersection, the intersection which we have taken from the posterior border, so there is an intersection is lying somewhere here. So this mid of this play of this portion, we have to take a midpoint of this area of the posterior border of the ramus of the intersection point. We have to take a midpoint, so this comes around somewhere here. So this is point is known as articulare. Okay, so it's a bit complex. So what we have just I will just repeat. It's basically the intersection of the posterior border of ramus with the cranial base. So this simplifies this. Just I will just repeat this. From the base of the cranium, one line is going like this. From the posterior border, one line is going like this. So this is somewhere this is intersecting, but we have to take the midpoint of this line. So this is articulare. Okay, easy. This was a Rapustian. Okay, and now we have to condylon. Simple point. Most posterior superior point on the condyle, basically that is condylon. This will be condylon. Posterior and superior, which is present in the posterior and the superior most part of the condyle. This is like the condylon. Okay. This was opistheon. This was condylon. Okay. And the ninth point is gonion. Okay. The ninth point is gonion. Gonion is present on the posterior inferior border. Condylon is present on the posterior superior border. Gonion is present on the posterior inferior border. Okay. Then these 3 point comes. Ogonion, sorry, not this. pogonion, gonion, menton. So we have a mnemonic for this, like these comes in sequence only. PGM, Papa G, morning. Papa G, you can, yeah, you can remember like Papa, good morning. Okay. If you will remember like this, there will be no mistake. You have to visualize this. PGM. Okay. Pogonion. Pogonion is basically the most anterior point on the chin. Since you can see this, this is like the most anterior point. Change the color. This is pogonion. This is the most anterior point on the chin. Then comes the gonion. Gonion is the most anterior inferior. Like it's anterior, but it's inferior to pogonion. So it's the anterior, like it's more, it's like the sorry, not the pogonion. I misspelled. Pogonion is the most anterior point on the like the chin. Then the next come is nathion. This is nathion. Okay, pogonion. This is the anterior point on the chin, most anterior point on the chin. Nathion comes. Nathion is the anterior inferior point. Then comes the menton, the last. Menton is the inferior most. Since it is present in the last, so this is the inferior most point. Okay. Don't worry about the notes. You will be pre-provided the notes. Just try to understand the basic landmarks and basic things, because these are very basic things. These are the making the foundation of your cephalometry. Okay. So coming after this PGM points, we have point A. Point A. What is point A? Is basically the curvature present between the anterior border of the maxilla and mandible. Okay. These curvature, the anterior border which is present in the maxilla, it is called as point A, and the curvature which is present in the midpoint of the mandible, it is called as point B. Okay. See, these both points were lying in the curvature only. So A, B, okay. Then the other points which includes are not basically very much important, but so like sometimes they ask. One is supradentale. It is present in between the in the maxilla between the two center incisors, and basically there was one point named as infradentale, which is present between the mandibular lower interiors. Okay, so that is basically infradental, supradental, infradental. So there is another name for point A, which is called as subspinal, and point B has another name called as supramental. Okay, so these are the basically 2 points. So along with that, we have two more points in the maxilla, which are ANS and PNS. See, both these points are present in maxilla only. We will discuss this later. Just remember this: PNS, posterior nasal spine, and anterior nasal spine. Okay, that's why our point A was named as subspinal, because it is present like below the and nasal spine. That's why it is called as subspinal or point A, and our point B is called as supramental because it is present above the menton. That's why it is called as supramental. Easy. Infradental, supradental, you don't have to stress upon, but you have to remember ANS, PNS. Okay. So there is another point. Last, we have nothing left other than PTM point. This is important for rickets analysis only. It is present on the posterior superior border of the pterygomaxillary fissure. It is not present in the graph, that's why I didn't show you. But when we will do rickets analysis, then we will like do it again. Okay. Sorry, guys. So now, before the starting the Downs analysis, we need to know about five main horizontal planes also. Which are those horizontal planes? SN plane. So by the name you can understand. So what is SN plane is basically, just see in this graph. This is like used in Steiner's analysis. This is also known as the anterior cranial base. Okay, this is SN plane. No? So SN, also called as used in Steiner analysis, also known as anterior cranial base. Okay, so there is nothing term like posterior cranial base and nothing like that. So this is the low SN plane. This is your SN plane. Okay, starting from the sella to the nasion. Then we have the FH plane. Okay, second FH plane. This is also a horizontal plane. Remember, guys, we have like discussed above that we have to align the patient's FH plane parallel to the ground while taking the cephalostat. So now I'm going to tell you what is FH plane. FH plane basically starts from the chorion. SN plane basically name speaks itself as sella to nasion. But FH plane is not like this. It starts from chorion to orbital. Okay. Why this name was Frankfurt? Because the like a conference was held in Frankfurt. That's why this they named as FH. Okay, you just have to remember two words. Po FH. Whenever FH comes, Po. Okay, starts from the chorion. Okay, chorion to the orbital. Okay, so this is basically your FH plane. See, this is also horizontal plane, almost parallel to the base of the skull. So this is we have to align so that our head should be in a straight position. We have to keep it parallel to the ground. This is FH. Okay. Above was SN. Okay. And the next is the basically the palatal plane. Since it is basically a palatal plane and we have only two landmarks in the maxilla and which are both are presenting the maxillary landmark as in palate. So those landmarks are PNS and ANS. Okay. So this is our palatal. This is our palatal plane. Okay. So we have discussed till now SN plane, FH plane, Orion to orbital. Then along with that, palatal plane, palatal, both the landmarks are present in maxilla. That means ANS to PNS. Simple. Then after that, we have occlusal plane. There is no specific landmark for occlusal plane. We just take this, that is like the between the intercuspations. This is your occlusal plane only. And the last is the mandibular plane. See, the mandibular plane actually basically differs for the all the three analysis. Whether it will be Tweeds, Steiners, or Downs, the mandibular plane differs. Okay. In some case, it is just we have to take the tangent drawn from the lower border of mandible in the Tweeds, and in Downs we have to take gonion to menton, and in Steiners we have to take in Steiners, we take like Gonion to Nathion. Yeah, we take Gonion to Nathion. So in Steiners, we have to do like this. So without any further delay, we are going to start now with Downs analysis. Okay, it's already been half an hour. Now we are going to start our first analysis. Basically, what is Downs analysis? And yeah, but before Downs analysis, just was one last topic, which has also been asked in exams many times. So like before, like while doing the orthodontic treatment, there is a set of the radiographs, and this like not the set of radiographs, actually the set of ceph tracing, which we have to do by various different colors. So the mnemonic is that BB Raji. Okay. So before a girl comes in your life, so your life is black. That means pre-treatment. Then your life has suddenly it has colors. Then it has blue post-treatment, and then it is becomes red. Okay. This is not red actually. It's like blue. It's in the mid treatment, because like the mid phase of every relationship, it is blue phase, and after that it is red phase post treatment, and after that it is green throughout the retention. Okay. So just remember B Raji and relate your life. Pre-treatment, mid-treatment, post-treatment, and retention. Okay. So let's go to Downs analysis now. Downs analysis basically it involves only two planes. I am using this notes only, which I told you that I will be providing it further also. Everything is like you just have to look at these 3 pages and everything will be done by this only. So Downs analysis. So we are going to start Downs analysis. We have to take a main reference plane in Downs analysis, that is FH plane. FH plane plus we have no, yeah, this is the only, yeah, this is the main reference FH plane which we have to take. Okay, FH plane, that means Porion to orbital. Okay, so what are the skeletal parameters that we have to analyze through this analysis? First is the facial angle. So facial angle, we have to compare it by like combining two planes, that is FH plane plus NPG. Okay, Nasion and the Pogonion. Okay, so what gives this like this? We have to look at the graph again. We are comparing the first skeletal parameter of the Downs analysis, that is facial angle. So this is your FH plane from Porion to orbital. Okay, and the second plane is from N to POG. Okay, so see, this value is almost perpendicular to both the planes. So its normal values is 90 degree. Okay. This is your FH and this is your NPOG. Okay. Its average value is 90 degree. So guys, what is the significances of this? It is usually normally in normal cases, it is 90 degree. But what happens if the jaw is prognathic? If the jaw is prognathic, that means I'm saying the mandible is prognathic. Now just try to understand. If the mandible is prognathic, that means Ogonion will be ahead of Nasion. This will be lagging behind, and this will be ahead. Imagine a class 3 situation. Okay. So this angle becomes like this. Okay. Sorry, not FH. NPOG. NPOG. Okay. So see, the value of this angle increases. So as the increase in angle, what is this basically? What is the inference of this is that increase in angle is telling us prognathism. Okay, the jaw is prognathic, and just imagine a like the complete contrast situation to this decrease in angle. It will be retrognathic. This will be your FH plane. See, NPOG. I hope you are knowing the acute and obtuse angles. So this angles basically it's retrognathic. This is prognathic. Since jaw is retruded, this angle value comes less and this is more and the average value is 90. So this was facial angle or first parameter of Down's analysis is done. Okay, simple. And now we are coming on to the second thing, that is angle of convexity. Okay. So what basically is angle of convexity? So now if you have to analyze what is angle of convexity, you have to visualize your own self through a mirror. Just see what points can tell you about convexity. One will be nasion, one will be point A, since the point A is present on maxilla, and the third point will be obviously the same, the pogonion. Okay. So how can we remember this? NAP. Okay, NAP. Okay. रेफरेंस प्लेन सेम था, FH plane plus NAP. Now imagine FH again parallel straight plane. Now nasion. Now the thing comes, guys. Now very carefully listen. As we know that in a normal class 2 situation, what the thing is that the point A will be always ahead, like no, the maxilla will be always ahead of the mandible. Okay. So what is that? Is that this is FH plane. Okay. This is N point. This is A point. This can be in line of that, but definitely the Pogonion point will lag behind the A point. See, guys, like this. Okay. This is a normal class 2 situation. In class 3, it becomes something else. Okay. So this is your basically this becomes the average value. So in facial angle, we have calculated this angle. So in the angle of convexity, we are measuring this angle. Okay. This is normally positive. Okay. Again, I will make a better diagram of this. N, A, and P, O, G. With this diagram, you are guys are familiar. Okay. This angle. This is basically a positive value. So if all in are one line, imagine a class 1 situation. In class 1 situation, the pogonion, the nasion, the point A, all are in one line. That means 0 degree. Okay. But usually in class 2 situations, or like us who are having a maxillary prognathism, little like in class 2 maxillary prognathism and mandibular retrognathism, this is basically normal class 2 situation in which this value comes as positive. Okay. In class 3 situations, the things will become reverse. Okay. In class 3, the point A will be still in the like between the nasion will be still in the present between the nasal and the frontal sutures. The point A, and now in class 3 situation, the pogonion will be ahead of the point. Okay. So now just draw this angle. Okay, guys. So now from this have to turn to this. That means the positive value has been gone to negative. So in class 3, it is basically negative. So what are basic our inferences are basically is that normally in normal cases it is positive. In class 1 situation it is 0. In class 2 situations, what is that? It is positive, which is showing maxillary prognathism and mandibular retrognathism. In class 3 situations, what is that? It is negative and maxillary retrognathism. The things are reversed now. And mandibular prognathism. So facial angle, angle of convexity, two basic points, two basic landmarks are done. So now we are coming on to the third thing, that is AB plane angle. Now the AB plane angle, guys, just visualize that both the landmarks A and B in the graph. Okay, we have to combine the value of NPOG, the reference plane NPOG, with AB. Okay, so in a normal class 2 case, okay, this is a normal case. The point A will be ahead of point B. Okay, and along with that, somewhere here will be Pogonion, and here will be the Nasion. Okay, somewhere here. Nasion will be later light, as maxilla is prognostic. Okay, so now just draw an POG straight line. Okay, sorry guys. POG. Okay, like this, and along with that, AB. These are point A, these are point B. Okay, like this. So this value, this is basically our AB plane angle. Now guys, you have to memorize something with this. In AB plane angle, this is the only negative value which indicates normal class 2 situation. Okay. The only value in orthodontics where negative is normal and positive means class 3 situation. It becomes reverse. Okay. Like as when B goes like this, AB, and this is NPOG. Okay. This becomes positive. Okay. This is in the class 3 situation, but in class 2, it is normal. Okay. So now the fourth thing, that is y axis or growth axis. So now guys, by y axis or growth axis, basically it is telling us about the growth of the mandible, whether it is in the horizontal plane or in the vertical plane. So by knowing the growth, we need to see the graph again. So for y-axis or growth axis, we have to combine two planes, FH plus Sella Pogonion. Okay, so imagine this plane, this one going from Sella to Pogonion like this. Okay, and one FH plane normally going from Sella, no, from Porion to orbital. Okay, so guys, just imagine the situation. Now we are measuring this angle. This is the y-axis angle. If if the patient if the patient is a vertical grower, then this value should increase. As this value increases, the jaw goes down, so the patient's facial vertical height increases. The patient is a vertical grower, and if this values goes up, that means the patient is a horizontal grower as the vertical height reduces. So what we have studied is till now is that like the all the three plane all the four planes till now is that the AB plane angle is starting from the basic itself. Facial angle, it was telling about the class 2 or class 3 situation, but we cannot say it is in comparison to the cranial, like it is not in comparison to the maxilla. What we are comparing is through the comparison through the cranial base only. Okay, so what is that we have discussed till now is that facial angle, it is telling about class 2 class 3. Okay, and the second is angle of convexity. It is telling about the same angle of convexity is telling about class 2 class 3. Okay, same thing. AB plane angle is also saying about same thing, class 2 class 3. But y axis is the only thing which is telling about the growth of the patient, whether it is a horizontal grower or it is a vertical grower. Okay guys, So the last thing about the skeletal parameter is that mandibular plane angle. So now guys, mandibular plane angle. In Down's analysis, the mandibular plane goes from gonion to menton. ठीक है? In tweeds it is simple. TT, tangent drawn on the lower border of ramus. Okay. In Steiners, it is GG, gonion to nathion. Okay. Simple. In Downs, we have simple, gonion to menton. Okay. And the second plane which we are taking is that FH plane. That is Orion to orbital. So guys, in mandibular plane angle, just extend this border to this and extend this border to this. There, this will meet somewhere here. So this angle is the mandibular plane angle. It is same as the like the y-axis or growth axis. As the angle increases, that means this angle increases. That means the patient is a vertical grower, and the angle as decreases, it basically means that the patient is a horizontal grower. Okay, guys. So if anything is left, no. So basically, this completes about the skeletal parameters about the Downs analysis. Okay. Thank you.